Welcome to my garden on this beautiful fall day. So today I'm going to walk you through how I took a patch of beautiful grass and turned it into an even more glorious garden entrance into my backyard. Welcome to Joy in the Garden. So this is a good view where you can see this is where it stopped before. So what I added was this right here. And then what I want to add is this right here, something that's kind of like that. And then some natural, not natural, but some stones that are level that go down a little bit so I can garden here a little bit better. I'm not going to do anything more here in the fall. I think I will next spring. And I think that'll create the nice view from when you're walking this way through that arbor to really see some pretty things as well. And I think this is a much softer entrance here. So I started this garden bed a year ago in the fall. And the first thing I did is I got a hose and I used the hose to kind of outline what I really wanted it to look like. And I was actually working on a different garden bed last fall. So the only thing I really did last fall for this garden bed was add 3 hydrangeas, the Incredible, the Invincible Lace, and 1 Sublime. But I knew the shape that I wanted. I had kind of laid that out already. So in the spring of this year, I actually created the edging. And I'll do that again next spring as well to sharpen the edge there. And I had a bunch of cardboard that I collected that didn't have tape or print or anything on it, laid that all down, and then purchased bags of compost. So I actually purchased the compost that is created by the city. So all of the compost that stuff that I put in my own compost bags that the city comes and picks up, they actually turn that into compost and they turn around and sell it. So I used that compost, put the compost on top of it in the spring. And I actually did then add mulch because I just thought heavy rains, could just wash some of that compost away. I didn't plant anything more. I only had those 3 plants here this entire season, but I did have the outline of the bed. So I'll put on the screen the ideas and the different, designs that I created for what I thought maybe I wanted this to look like. And I will tell you, this is a lot of clay down here. It's next to a house. I'm in Iowa, so we have this beautiful black dirt unless a house has been built, and then they backfill with a lot of clay. So thankfully, I had since the spring the compost on here and kind of working that ground up. Now, I didn't have too much problem with grass coming through using that no-till method, so that's excellent. And I also, the compost must have been pretty good compost from the city because I didn't have a lot of weeds coming up from it either. And then, of course, dug the holes. I definitely use biotone, and then I fill the hole with water, put the plant in, water it heavily. Again, some of these were lucky enough that they already have about 1.5 inches of natural rain, which is fabulous and something everybody loves, right? Natural rain is so much better than our fake handhold hose quote rain. But I think this actually looks quite beautiful right now. I'm very excited for the spring, what it might look like. So let me tell you the different plants that are here and what they might look like when they mature. So this, starting in the back, and I'm going to start with the evergreens. That is a green mountain boxwood. Gets about 3 feet wide, 5 feet tall. And then in the middle there is sting arborvitae. That is a fairly new arborvitae out from Proving Winners. That only gets 1 to 1.5 feet wide. It can get 10 to 15 feet tall. And then I have another evergreen that I placed in between the house and the arbor here. And that is another one of the sting arborvitaes. Again, only 1.5 feet, 10 to 15 feet tall. Now these, the one right in front of me here is a smaller one. So as they grow, the one over here to my left will probably always be taller until they reach their mature height, which I actually like that difference there. So now let's look at the grasses that I've added to this space. So in the front here, I have a Cheyenne Sky switchgrass. That gets about 3 feet tall and I think about 3 feet wide. And here's another one over here. And then in the back, actually one of the things I love about Cheyenne Sky is you can really, try to get close to it. You know, you can see some of the really pretty red on the leaf straps there. And then in the back there, that is October Sky. That's a switchgrass as well. And that's going to be coming out in garden centers next year. That I think can get up to 5 feet tall, between 2 to 4 feet wide. So that's going to be pretty big, which I think will look beautiful next to that arborvitae there. So now let's take a look at the hydrangeas that are in this space here. As you can tell, this is comprised of evergreens, grasses, hydrangeas. There are a few perennials here. I am almost sure I'll end up moving those around, but hopefully the hydrangeas, the evergreens, and the grasses will stay where they are. So in the front here is a hydrangea from First Editions. This is the flowerful hydrangea. Really, really pretty. I think that gets maybe 4 by 4 with an incredible hydrangea behind it, which can get 5 by 5. This is an invincible lace in the middle. Now, both that incredible and that invincible lace I actually planted last fall. They were very, very, very small at the time. And then over here is the beauty here. This is the Sublime Smooth Hydrangea. This is a very beautiful, beautiful shrub. This is one that I was able to get my hands on when I was in a trip, Proven Winners event in Michigan. And a few fellow gardeners, Eric and Christopher from Grow For Me Gardens, said, you have to take this large guy. I'm so glad I did. It was huge. I'll put a photo of the container that it was in. It was very huge, but it's very pretty. This is actually a Sublime as well that I planted last fall. So you can tell how much bigger this newer one is. And then lastly, I got my hands on an Invincible Spirit 2. So I have not seen them very often in our garden centers here in central Iowa. I ran across this one. It was 60% off. You got to do what you got to do, and I bought that baby. So this is the Invincible Spirit 2. Very excited about that one. And then if we come over here and take a look at the perennials that I put in here, these are some geums here and some penstemon, some coneflowers back there. I did put this sedum, Angelonia sedum, some dianthus that I actually moved from a different location, and then some more geum, and then the Mex free hydrangea there. Oh, I forgot. This is a little ruby hydrangea. I forgot about that. I put that there a long time ago. Really small. Hopefully it'll come back beautifully next year. So just to give you a different angle for this new garden area here. Used to stop, right there, and I built this out a little bit further there. And now maybe you can see why I want to also add a little bit here, just to give the arbor and the clematis vines on it kind of a background that's not house, but green and beautiful. So that is in the plans for next year. And there is really an open spot in this area here. I hope to have an idea of a type of hydrangea, or 2 or 3 that I'd like to add here in the front, maybe move some of those perennials. I'll see if I can get my hands on some newer hydrangeas there next year. But I'm very excited for spring to come and just to kind of see, how does this all really play out? What does it look like? What do I want to keep? What do I want to change? I really enjoyed creating new garden beds. So thank you very much for joining me today. If you like this type of video, feel free to give me a thumbs up, and definitely would love if you subscribed. Have a great day.